Going to be an exciting one. We are on Icebound, a team with some familiar faces on a team that didn't make a change versus a team that made one of the most prolific roster changes, so you know it is going to be a crazy one right now. Of course, we are at the infamous B fight over on Icebound. The first kills do start to come through. It is none other than Summons, helping get Monkeys that first blood. Right now, the neutral hill looks like it's going to favor the COG team. And the dust settles. The first initial from Emergence is officially underway. It looks like so far PK is on top.
Oh, my boy Raver already going off, at least with one on Enzem. Avexi shuts him down for the time being. That's going to solidify the A hill to bring it to the AC split for Rise Nation. Trying to recover a little bit of that deficit they acquired off of the initial as everybody now gets set up. Looks like there's going to be, once again, another Bravo push, and Rise Nation are looking to go for that break, but luckily, Pittsburgh Knights did manage to rotate over towards Alpha. They locked that in for themselves, and we're just going to consistently at least see this back and forth battle, the push and pull, if you will. I saw a meme, actually, on Twitter. I don't know if you caught it, about there was some scrims happening, and I want to say it was Hive scrimming, I want to say UIU or at least somebody. And there reached a point in time where literally both of the teams just went in a game chat. And we're just like, hey, are you going to push? Because we're ready to push. If you don't want to push, that's cool. We're just going to chill right now because they were just at that standstill. And I believe it was the fight for Bravo or the fight for Echo on the second half.
Yeah, in a map like Icebound, there's a lot of those sort of stalemate situations, just kind of the nature of some of the hills. Of course, you see this B hill. There's 15 different lines of sight that can all touch that hill. The second you get in there, you can just get drilled from so many lancers. Of course, on the flip side, when the hills rotate over to E, a lot of the same, right? Just a lot of open space to get hit by. And speaking of open space, you're going to see Enzem with 3 different members in front of him over towards the C hill. Pittsburgh Knights are making their OE. They've chosen their home hill so far. Rise Nation doing a pretty good job defending it, at least for now. The revives come through on both ends. No kills have happened just yet. PK has kind of pushed themselves forward onto that C hill. They actually have the full cap, and I believe the decap onto B as well. Yep. So a lot of objective play coming through from the Pittsburgh Knights. Trades coming in back and forth. A couple downs for Rise Nation. This could be their opportunity to kind of even the numbers right back out. Still a big fight happening over at C. The victor of this is going to likely be set up in pretty good position. Kills still coming in back and forth. Enzem grabs 2. Shock going to get in the kill feed as well, and very quickly the full elim comes through. Rise Nation, they withstand the fight. They come out on top. They take our first round.
Yeah, despite losing the initial, they still managed to recuperate and come through big in the end. Dezo, Pittsburgh Knights currently sitting at 0 kills for himself with 2 deaths. Hopefully he'll be able to step it up. That was only round 1. Everybody's starting to fill out each other once again. Obviously, Pro League did in fact happen, but everybody's still getting back into the mix of things, into the swing of things, if you will. So there's going to be probably a little bit of rust out there, but over time, I think these players are going to sharpen up and just start playing a lot better as the weapon trees will in fact start getting built up. Flashbang is going to be placed, and it's business as usual. Last time it was, in fact, Pittsburgh Knights who won the initial. They did a great job securing Bravo off the rip. Let's see if Rise Nation can have an answer for it.
And we are hopping on board with Raver, one of the newest additions from this Pittsburgh Knights team. Raver, a player that has made so much noise since the beginning of Gears of War 5. King Choche himself told me this was the next best player in LATAM. This is the rising star, and sure enough, he couldn't have been more correct. Of course, that Fire Knights team did get top 4 at the major, eliminating UIU, sort of ending that revenge tour. And now as Raver moves forward to the Pittsburgh Knights squad, this is an opportunity for him to really show out on sort of what's considered kind of the #1 team in the LATAM region across the years. And Identiv's not going to let Enzem out just there. Pittsburgh Knights, pretty good positioning. Of course, they're collapsing now onto the B Hill. Rise Nation trying to do everything they can just to stay alive. And Shock does manage to get out kind of by the skin of his teeth. It's going to leave Detox in a bit of a tough spot. Tries to get out himself, and so far, Rise Nation managed to get out despite the gunfire.
Yeah, they got out, but they also lost the objective. Or not just yet, as Summons tried to get a tag on, not able to do it. Just notice he has a space in between M and N, so someone was already ahead of the game and took PK Summons. Not able to get the OG. Hopefully he'll be able to get that a little bit later. Summons, very aggressive push onto Detox. He's going to pay for it. He gets taken out. As the revive tries to come in for Monkeys, he's unsuccessful and loses his life in return. That's 3 down on the side of Pittsburgh Knights. Rise Nation continues to hold down the map control as well as the overall slaying power. They're looking good, to say the least. They don't feel confident to hop onto B as of yet, as they do at least manage to get on there so far. Dezo trying to make something happen. But overall, though, Rise, they're looking solid.
Yeah, they're slaying out. It's going to be 3 members down for the Knights. Summons and Monkeys, the last 2 remaining members. One has sights on to B, but not a lot he can do with his teammates still on the respawn screen. It looks like Rise choosing not to move forward just yet. They have the 2 cap. Obviously, they're building a pretty good lead. On a map like Icebound, you can kind of hold that 2 cap for a long time, or at least use that B as an opportunity to grab some more kills. The next kind of progression for the Knights would obviously be to go for that OE, and I think Rise Nation's kind of ready for it. You see Detox already sitting back on A, kind of just waiting for the push to come, and Similar situation to round number 1. Same sort of fight. Pittsburgh Knights on the offensive. Looking to get that last home hill. Let's see if they can grab it.
Shock, Detox, as well as the Vexies now trying to hold their own. Detox is going to fall victim to Monkeys, who ends up taking him out. That's going to be a good break for Pittsburgh Knights. Rise Nation now thinking about their next plan of attack. Do they retake Alpha, or do they push towards Trading Post? Well, Enzim tried to make a sneaky move, and he eventually gets taken out. Little OE attempt, though, from the man of Drix. He's going to be going over towards Charlie, but he's going to be stuck between 2 players. It's going to be Raver as well as Summons. He's got to be careful, but he does make a break for it, and he's going to be on Charlie. He's going to be uncontested. Pittsburgh Knights at this point in time going for the trip cap. If this fight goes successfully and Drix drops, Raver could, in fact, lock down a trip cap, but it was just a little bit too long. That heads-up play from the man of Drix saved Rise Nation, kept them in the game, and very close now to winning is going to be Rise. They don't have the win condition as of yet, or actually as they just now get it back. Rise Nation could, in fact, win this, but Pittsburgh Knights, they play this appropriately, they could turn this around, but it looks like Rise Nation is holding on for the time being.
That's still a good break, and actually a full cap from Rise Nation. That might be enough to give them potentially the win condition on just their home hill. The problem is 3 of their members did go down. Pittsburgh Knights are moving forward. It looks like they will, unless Drix can make the impossible happen, get this full break. He finally does go down. Pittsburgh Knights, they do clutch up right at the end. Rise Nation did such a good job of putting themselves in position over at B, but the Knights, too much slaying power, just completely blew them off the map. They finally get that last hill, and now we're tied at 1-1.
Yeah, Drix made such a great play, keeping Rise in it. But like you said, that wolf packing from Pittsburgh Knights onto not only Alpha, but also down to Bravo, and then eventually to Charlie just was a little bit too much, and Rise didn't have an answer for that. Drix did everything he could to try and hold them at bay, but when you're going 1 against 3, 1 against 4, just not a lot you could do in that situation. But solid 2 rounds along couple of first rounds, but still, I gotta say, both teams looking relatively even despite Rise slaying out in the initial and mid game.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of long rounds, I would say, when it comes to Icebound. I mean, I always think back to some of those crazy Icebounds we saw between UIU and Reciprocity before the Mexico City Major, right? We saw just some insane rounds come through, 3.5 minutes here, 3.5 minutes there, just because a lot of Icebound is just kind of a lot of stalemate situations, right? Not a lot of definitive initials, not a lot of kind of up-in-your-face battles unless you throw that drop shot down. So expect to see, I would say, some more long rounds, especially these 2 teams, of course, very good Icebound teams in their own regards.
Smoke to kind of break up the line of sight, if you will, for Rise. Successfully able to get Bravo, but a nice break coming through. Raver's going to get the first touch onto Shock and take him out. Dezo and Raver looking to collapse down onto Detox, who is forced to try and get away, but the Lancer Fire, the team fire, just a little bit too strong, but he does manage to get away. But Rise Nation going for Mr. Krabs, the trip cap almost coming into effect. PK, the only move they had was to hop onto Bravo. Battle for A is going to be ensued as Enzim trying to hold off 2 players from PK. Does manage to get 1. This could be a big hold, and he's not able to do it as 4 players get dropped from PK. The only one alive is Identives to keep PK back in the game.
Great teamwork coming through from Rise Nation. You saw they kind of pinned Dezenite down there. Drix able to get that nice finishing shot, then turn right around and pistol for his teammates. So love what I'm seeing so far out of Rise Nation shooting together. Again, this is one of our few teams that didn't make a change, right? So they don't have to kind of, there's no more relearning for them, right? They don't have to learn how to play with each other. They already kind of had that existing chemistry, and you're seeing it right there. Fantastic teamwork coming from them, and at the very least, they don't finish off the round, but they end up getting about an 80-point lead to start off.
Bravo and Charlie in the hands of Rise. Identives does spawn back in on his last life. Monkeys is not far behind with 1 out of 4. And that's going to change their playing style. They're not going to be able to be as aggressive as they necessarily want to be. And the scariest part about this, Rise already has a massive point lead. They're in control of Bravo and Charlie. And if they lock this in, they get this round. Going into the last round of the half, PK is going to be in even more trouble, and they can potentially go into the second half with a 3-1 deficit. But regardless of that, PK will push Rise back just for the time being. And Dez is going to be leading the charge. Lancer Fire is going to soften him up a bit. Shock does come through, and Enzim's going to continue where he left off. He's going to take out Dezo. Up close is going to be Enzim as well as the Vexies. Raver and Identives will in fact drop. Identives now permanently out, at least for this round, but I think it's all for not Rise Nation. So close to that 250 mark, there's no way that they can lose this.
Yeah, they've just had command over the round from start to finish. Of course, you mentioned Identives being permanently off the map. This is only round number 3, so there's still 1 more round in this half, and Identives is going to be on very, very low respawns. Good sign if you're a fan of Rise Nation. They take that second lead of the map, and so far I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Rise, obviously, and it's a big thing. You mentioned they don't have to relearn any of their strategies, and it's really showing, especially in those team fights. Rise Nation is just kind of picking up where the other left off, and they're doing nice bait and switches. Their rotations are on point. They're looking good. And now going into the last round of the half, I'm a little bit worried for Pittsburgh Knights just because of the respawn economy. It's a little bit low onto PK's side. And now with the drop shot being placed, Pittsburgh Knights throwing out a Hail Mary. They want to break up this fight. They want to be stronger on this initial, and this gives them that opportunity to go for a quick wipe if they could, or at least gain control of Charlie and Alpha off the rip. Let's see how this push takes place. It's about to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, we are on board with Vex as a player who loves being right up in that fight, right? A player who uses really good movement, plays on single stick movement, by the way. I learned that recently, and he's one of the players known for kind of being a crazy wall bouncer, very accurate, so he ends up unfortunately following a little bit of caster curse there. The second we're gassing him up in the fight, he goes down first, but looks like Monkey's trying to make his way over towards the power up, and Rise Nation looking to equalize the numbers. 4 players alive for each side. Monkeys pushes forward alongside Summons, but Rise Nation's there. They're ready. That's a quick 3 down. That's going to secure them the drop shot unless Identives can make the impossible happen. He gets the first kill on the Detox Shock. It's going to come around. They're going to get that 2v1, and finally, the drop shot will be secured. It will be put in the hands of Shock, and now take a look at the respawn economy. Inzem sitting on 1 of 4, but the big sticking point is going to be the fact that now Identives is on his last life. We know how impactful Identives is for this Pittsburgh Knights team, and we're only sitting at 20 seconds, right? So he's going to have to stay alive for a very, very long time if Pittsburgh Knights are going to win this round.
With that being said, you notice Rise, they kind of gave up the opportunity to get 2 caps, 2 hills to their name to kind of prioritize that fight, as it looks like Detox does, in fact, take Raver out. He's now going to drop. And a good use of the drop shot, at least for the first. And Rise, only Bravo to their name, but now they're going to start collapsing down. This fight for Alpha is about to take place, but PK doing a great job holding them at bay. One thing to note, though, Inzem is going to be on his last life, right? So now you have Identives and Inzem both on their last life. Still, I think as an entirety, Rise looking a little bit more solid, but regardless, though, Pittsburgh Knights, a massive point lead. And if they can hold on, they can take out Inzem. It's possible to turn this round in their favor. And with the last drop shot being wasted, that's now out of play. Pittsburgh Knights in a good position. Rise Nation, they're trying to turn things around.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Knights doing a great job holding on. You're going to see Identives and Raver over at the B hill, still continuing to light the kill feed up. The kill feed continuing to move blue in favor of the Knights. We talked about sort of one of the conditions for Knights this round would be Identiv staying alive, and so far he's doing a great job, still not taken out yet. He's just putting in a lot of good support fire, right? A player we're used to seeing on the front line. This time he's kind of back helping his teammate. Raver picks up that Incend, and Detox continuously just destroys Monkeys and Raver back-to-back. Avexi gets in the kill feed as well. That's going to take now Identivs permanently off the map. We caster cursed him once again, as now it's a permanent 5 versus 4 for the remainder of this round. Pittsburgh Knights, they've mounted a big, big lead, so they still have plenty of opportunity to come out on top on this round, but it's going to come on some great defense. Summons is being pushed by 2 different members. He's trying his best just to stay alive. They have the marks, they have the information, the team fire comes through, but Rise Nation pushing so aggressively, getting those kills, and now they're moving forward over to C.
Pittsburgh Knights still wins off of Charlie alone. Rise Nation, their only win condition is to get this break, but with Monkeys and Identitas both out of the way, it's going to be a permanent 3v5 unless Inzem and Detox drop. Vexi's pushing in, stuck in a very tough position, and a great series of kills for Pittsburgh Knights to maintain Charlie. You notice them rotating over towards Bravo. That's going to be potentially their win condition. Objectively, they're playing this well. So close, drop shot moves in, and shot connects onto Dezo. Rise going for the trip cap, but a break onto Bravo is going to take place. Raver, a main slayer holding his own. Now against Drix, he needs to secure this, unable to do so. Pittsburgh Knights answer back. They get Charlie, but now Rise is going to answer back themselves. They're going for the trip cap. Dezo knows he needs to get this break. He's going to be unable to do so, and Rise Nation in the first half comes out with a 3-1 lead.
Man, the Knights were doing such a good job at that 4v5, continuing to get those kills, but in the end, the respawn economy just finally got away from them. You saw Identivs go out first, then you saw Monkeys go permanently out. They made some plays, but good job by Rise Nation continuously hitting those objectives, right? You saw 2 times they hit that C hill. Drix got over there to B, made sure that Raver could get off B. You saw Shock hit the drop shot on the neutral hill as well, so great job by Rise Nation identifying the fact that they had numbers and continuously hitting those objectives. They come out with a 3-1 lead in the half. Of course, this is the Rise Nation map pick, so a good start, and we're seeing why this was their choice.
Now this fight for the neutral hill is going to be that much more deadly. Not only are they fighting for trading post, a crucial point on this map to lock in, they're fighting for that drop shot plus the neutral hill. Whoever wins the initial off the start, especially with long spawns, might be set up quite well to be the victor of this round. And Pittsburgh Knights, it's critical this initial goes well for them, being down 2 rounds. This is going to be the swing round, if you will. Rise Nation, they win this, they're going to be up 4-1, just on the cusp of winning Icebound and being up 1-0 in this best of 3. Shock at least is going to keep a couple of the players at bay. Identives knows there's going to be a couple players from Rise wanting to push in. He's got to hold his own here. He can't push too far out because he's going to open himself up to Shock, but actually goes for it, hits a nice shot onto Enzum. That's going to get the drop. Enzum now out 5v4. And an interesting rotation. Identives is going down low to focus onto Drix, potentially going for the double home hill setup.
Yeah, he's trying his best to push Drix out of that spawn. Drix doing his best to stay alive, and he holds the shot. Identives, I would say, got a little too eager. Drix makes him pay. Now another fight's going to ensue. Enzum versus Summons for this F hill. You're going to see the team fire coming through from the Knights. Beautiful, beautiful 2v1 coming through. That's going to give Raver the kill. It's going to give Summons the hill. On the other end, you're seeing now Shock versus Desnai, just pure mayhem across the board, Taylor. Every single hill seems like it's being fought over.
And Detox is going to secure the drop shot. That's going to be hugely beneficial in at least taking over some of these hills for Rise Nation. Shock will rotate back. Raver's going to get dropped. The Vexies will get traded off by Identives. It's going to be 2 down on the side of Pittsburgh Knights, 5 strong for Rise, or at least 4 strong. As Rise now will retake at least the neutral hill, plus they have their own home hill. So at this point in time, they are sitting quite well to make up this deficit. They're not going to stop there. They're going for the trip cap. Monkeys needs to crawl in, get that break. He's going to be able to do so. And now it's going to be a mad dash for Pittsburgh Knights to try and just get any kind of break that they can. They successfully do so, but Detox, he's going back for more. And the drop shot, will it be able to connect? Yes, it will. Can he get the second, though? Summons going to push up, gets the chunk up close. And I think Detox yes, he did. He secured the win for Rise Nation. Domination comes through, and they are now 1 round away from being up 1-0 in this series.
Another big play coming through from Detox. Seems like he's taken a number of 2v1s, of course, this time utilizing that power weapon, gets that drop, hops right over the cover. Summons needs to get to that hill as fast as he can, and Detox is right there for the chunk. Beautiful 2v1 coming through, and Monkeys almost made a crazy play. Monkeys kind of got to crawl right into that hill, and unfortunately his teammate ended up getting wiped out, but Rise Nation take a commanding 4-1 lead, and we're going to quickly hop over to our other match. Give you guys a bit of an update of what's going on. High versus Fire and Ice, and so far it is a 4-0 lead. Yeah, it was a little quick transition from production to throw a little curveball at us. We got a 4-0 lead right now.
I was so confused, man. I was about to go on talkback. We go like, brother, it's 4-1, not 3-0, and I realized it was an entirely different match. But it's good to know at least, like Sports Center, right? We're keeping you updated.
It's like Red Zone.
Hey, 3-0. That's a pretty big.
So it was 4-0 on the other end. It was Hive of 4-0.
Oh, it was 4-0 with Hive.
Yeah, and Fire and Ice. I mean, of course, like it's always difficult when you lose your main prolific Slayer, right? We're going to talk about Quarantine, obviously, when they play later. It's really tough to lose your main Slayer, right? Fire and Ice lost Raver, of course, to the Pittsburgh Knights team, and they did fill that spot with Fearsley, a very good sniper from the Estral team, but there's going to be a little bit of adjustments that team's going to have to make. They are playing Hive, who hasn't made a single change, and doesn't doing a little dancing over there for
Looked like
us.
his controller died. He just did like a 360.
Yeah,
and then
but no, that's kind of what I was saying is like there's those situations where you lose your prolific Slayer and you have to kind of change your identity as a team, right? You have to change some roles around. Of course, you have to change some spots in the map. A lot of times, those Slayers play, front spawns or second spawns, whatever it may be. And so to me, I think that Fire and Ice, they're going to have to really get back to work and practice. And they're going to have to relearn how to kind of compose their team together, right? Relearn how to play some of these fights. Because obviously they're used to having Raver doing X, Y, and Z. Of course, Raver, one of the most phenomenal players we have in the game right now. So like I said, I'm not too alarmed by some of the Fire and Ice scorelines early on. I think they have there's a lot of progression that needs to be made for teams like them, teams like Quarantine. So yeah, it's just come down to time.
I think for this Emergence days in general, I expect there to be upsets, if you will, or at least traditional upsets, right? Like the Quarantine maybe losing or at least making it forward, but Fire and Ice maybe not have the best performances. A lot of these teams, it's just going to be growing pains as they relearn their strategies that you've been mentioning. So for me, I'm not going to be too critical or too harsh on a lot of these teams, especially as they just relearn their strategies, relearn their team chemistry. But as we get, maybe 4 weeks in, 3-4 weeks into Emergence days, and at that point, I'll start being a little bit more critical, right? But 5-1, Rise Nation played incredibly well. And that's going to be a nice victory, especially leading into exhibits, which Rise isn't too bad on either. Pittsburgh Knights, they've got to step it up here if they want to turn things around.
Absolutely. Fantastic first map coming through from Rise Nation.